got a bit of pop trivia for you. You might not know this. You know Rihanna? You know Rihanna? Yeah. She has insured her legs for $1 million. And I don't really know why, because I'm pretty sure she's a singer. Yes? Yes, thank you. And I'm almost certain you can do that sitting down. I mean, her legs aren't proper anyway. They don't meet at the top or anything. My mum would say about her, she couldn't stop a pig in an alleyway. Just for the record, I could totally stop a pig in an alleyway. Stop it, stun it, put it in me fucking freezer. I do have a good relationship with my mum. You know, sometimes in comedy you laugh at things because it's familiar, because it's a shared experience. Sometimes you laugh because you're just glad you're not me. I think this next thing might fall into the latter category. See if this has happened to anybody else. Whenever I'm on the phone to me mum, it always makes me need a poo. Give us a woo if that's happened to you. If you're good. I've looked into it. It's a closeness issue. It means that me and those people who wooed, we love our mums more than the rest of you lot love yours. I love my mum so much it makes me shit. Try getting that on a balloon on Mother's Day. Thank God for Moonpig. It's quite satisfying to see that my parents haven't changed in the intervening 30 years. They came to stay with me a few months ago for the weekend, and on the Sunday night, they're packing up the car to go home. And my mum has what she calls her pretty woman bags, which, you know, like the cardboard shopping bags as opposed to plastic ones. I'm glad that I know that's what she calls them, because a month before that, I'd been on the phone to her and she said, I've had a proper pretty woman day. And I thought, I hope you've been shopping and not just sucking off businessmen. She's retired, she's got a lot of time on her hands. But Pretty Woman for me is one of those films. I think we've all got one of those films where even if you've got the DVD, which means technically you could watch it any time you liked, if it's on the telly, you're watching it. And that's one of mine, and it was on not too long ago on ITV2 +1 × 4. And you know that scene, even if you haven't seen the film, you know the classic scene where she goes back into the shop that wouldn't serve her, and she says, "You work on commission, big mistake, huge." And I thought that film would have been totally different if she'd been a size 18, wouldn't it? Because I'm a size 18 and pretty much guarantee I couldn't get in any designer clothes. I worried about getting stuck in the fucking cubicles, let alone the clothes. She'd have gone back in and gone, "You work on commission?" "Well, I've ordered some things online. And I don't know if they're going to fit. So I bought a handbag to cheer myself up. And I filled it with fucking Maltesers." So my mum was putting her Pretty Woman bags in the back seat of the car. My dad said, "Put them in the boot." And she said, "Well, I've put them in the back seat." He said, "Put them in the boot." "Well, why can't I just leave them in the back seat?" He said, "If you leave them in the back seat and I've got to slam my brakes on, they'll take the top of your head off. And you'll not be able to wear your bonny dresses that you've just bought because you'll be dead." And I looked at my mum and she went, "If that happens, the receipts are in the bag, just take them back." And I think one of the reasons I'm not very good with kids, I was never around them as a child. I was always the youngest. My mum had my sister, then she had me, then she had her tubes tied. And when she went to the hospital for the appointment, the nurse said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yeah, I've had a chat with my husband. We only wanted 2, we've got 2, like to go ahead with the procedure." And the nurse said, "What if one of them dies?" And my mum was like, "It's not like I just want any 2. Well, we've got a set of bunk beds. It seems a shame to waste one." When I was in Australia, I missed my family terribly, and I used to Skype them once a week. You know this thing of Skype where you can see each other through your computer screens? It makes home feel that little bit closer, I think, if you can see people's faces as well as hear their voices. And they'd sit around their computer, my mum, dad, and my sister, in a semicircle once a week. And at the end of every call, they'd lean in and kiss the webcam, which was lovely, but terrifying the first time it happened. Like, I know my sister knows about computers. I know my dad used to work with computers, but I'm pretty sure my mum doesn't really know how it works. I know that she definitely doesn't know that I can still see her face, even when I'm not talking to her. Because I'd talk to my mum, then I'd move on to my sister, and I'd go, "How's work?" And my mum would do this. But you know, we're all getting older. I turned 39 this year. I'm not worried about turning 40 next year. I'm not worried about getting older at all. And I think that's because I have good friends in their 40s, 50s, 60s. My parents are sort of late 60s, early 70s. And they all seem to be having quite a nice time. What I see as my future is not a scary one. My parents have this thing that I think happens to a lot of people when they retire, is all of a sudden they can see their friends a lot more often. They can do hobbies they've never had time for. And they're so busy, they think to themselves, how on earth did we fit work in? Which must be a lovely state of affairs, mustn't it? My mum was showing us her diary because she said it was chock-a-block. She said, look at this. She said we were going to go and see Oliver the Musical that day, but we can't because we forgot we had Swan Lake booked in at the Empire. She's only this tall. She looked up at me with this face that I adore and she went, I haven't got time to die. I said, I don't think that's how it works, Mum. Just the Grim Reaper standing behind and she's going, I can't do October. I can't do November. I want to see Tony Bennett in November. And the Grim Reaper's like, Tony Bennett, I've been after him for years. But for the last 16 or maybe even 17 years, my mum and dad's annual holiday has been 1 week in Edinburgh. They love the city, they have friends there, they go, they have a smashing time, they come home, all good. But for some unknown reason, 2 years ago, they decided to book a cruise. And I said to me, Mum, that's very adventurous. What made you book a cruise? And she said, we just saw them loads on the telly. And I said, yeah, Mum, I'm pretty sure that was the news. They were running aground and people were dying. And my mum and dad are like, that looks lovely, sure we'll do that. But I had quite a girly relationship with my mum when I was little. Like if she got new makeup or new clothes, she'd always show me. Every single time she bought new perfume, she'd always say, do you want to smell of my new perfume? And I'd go, yes, please. And I'd go over to where she was. She'd bend down because I was only little. She'd pull her top to one side and I would inhale. And every single time she'd done a massive fart. She never told me. For years, that's what I thought Chanel No. 5 smelled like. At best, it's Chanel No. 2. But my mum is nearly 70 and she's in a wheelchair, and sometimes people are mean to her because she's in a wheelchair, which is horrible and hurts all of us, but her especially. And I was trying to think of just some small way that she could retaliate when that happens to make her feel a little bit better, you know. And I was trying to swear thing, you know, the cough swear thing. Arsehole. Trying to teach her that. Because she's always so immaculately dressed and her nails are always perfect. And I thought nobody for a second would suspect. They'd be like, did that lady just? Did she just? Arsehole. Did she just? No, look at her nails. Get her a lozenge. So we talked about it, we laughed about it, we moved on in conversation. About 10 minutes later, I talked about something entirely different. And my mum said, I had to go to the doctors this week. I said, oh, is everything all right? She said, yeah, but I had to see the nurse. I said, oh, is that not good? She said, oh, it's the one I don't really like. I said, oh, never mind. She said, yeah, you know the one I think's a bit of a cunt. What have I done? She did the cough like it was a full stop. You've been lovely. Let me leave you with this. I suppose what I'm trying to say in my show is that I'd like my life to slow down a bit. It's been very fast for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's been amazing, but I'd really like it to slow down a bit. I was very slow as a child. Not like that. I was just a dawdler. I used to take ages to do everything. I'd take ages to eat my breakfast. I'd take ages to put my clothes on. I'd take ages to walk to school. My mum was a busy mum. She had stuff to do, but she never said, come on, chop, chop, hurry up, we're going to be late. She didn't say any of those things. Instead of saying, she used to do the music from silent films. So I'd be eating my breakfast really slowly, and she'd lean right into my ear and go, diddly-dee, diddly-dee, diddly-dee-dee-dee-dee. Just makes you naturally quick, and I don't know why. I've only once used it as an adult. You're a very smart crowd. But I'm quite practical like that. I've only been driving a few years, but when I first passed my test, my dad, who I get my practical side from, said to me, right, the following things you should always have in the boot of your car.
you need a blanket, you need a flask, you need a shovel. And he's right, because whenever I've killed a man, I'm always parched.
But what I wanted was somewhere that makes me feel the same way my parents' house makes me feel. They've lived in the same house since they got married 47 years ago. Exactly, and this is what I wanted. I wanted somewhere that I could build memory after memory after memory. Now, I was there sort of late summer last year with my sister, the four of us just sitting around with cups of tea around the kitchen table, putting the world to rights. It was lovely. And at the exact same moment, my sister and I both heard the ice cream man. And it was like no time had passed. No words were exchanged between my sister and I. She shot me a look that said, "Do you want one?" And I shot back a look that said, "Of course I fucking do." She picked up her purse and she ran out of the house. When she came back in, she told me there'd be no children anywhere near the ice cream man, just a 44-year-old woman running towards it. He'd started to pull away. She had to flag him down. And as she flagged him down, he shouted out of the window, "Come on, missus, you can do it." She came back in with 3 ice creams, one for me, one for her, and one for me dad, because my mum doesn't really like sweet things. And she said, "Where's Dad gone?" Because my dad was no longer in the room. I said, "He's gone to the toilet." Now, I don't know what your dads are like, but my dad can lose a good 20 minutes, half an hour in there. So she started to sort of lick her ice cream and kind of tidy his, do you know what I mean? Licking hers normally, but then spinning this one round. She was like a fucking machine, licking and tidying, licking and tidying, licking and tidying. This one started to get quite small, and I said, "Oh, that's not fair on Dad." And she said, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" I said, "I think you should take it to him while he's on the toilet." And she said, "Well, if I'm going, you're coming with us." So we go upstairs together. Mum and Dad's toilet is separate from their bathroom. And I said to my sister, "Before you go any further, you must promise me one thing." She said, "What's that?" I said, "You must promise me that when you open that door, you keep your eyes tight shut, because you will never be able to unsee what you are about to say." She promised. She knocked on the door. My dad said, "Come in," like it was an office. And with her eyes tight shut, she opened the door and handed in an ice cream. And my dad said, "I cannot take that." And we thought, quite rightly, because eating ice cream while you're doing this shit is disgusting, isn't it? But my dad said, "I'm reading the paper, my hands are full." I do spend a lot of time on my own. I live on my own. I do like living on my own, though. When I first decided I wanted to live on my own, my mum and dad don't really understand why people would want to live on their own. My mum said, "People only live on their own if they've got no friends." And then my dad made me look up the word hermit in a dictionary. But my dad, he did give me some good advice when I was looking for flats. He said, "I don't think you should get one that's got a balcony. What with living on your own, there will be a high suicide risk." Just wondered if I should have been bearing that in mind when I was viewing properties. You know, is that oven gas or electric? Is that light fitting really strong? Could have told a decent weight. 10 stone. Fuck off. 11 stone. And a half. And another fucking half. My parents still reward my sister and I, even though we're 38 and 44, they still do it now. I had to drive in the snow the last time we had really bad snow. I don't like driving in the snow, it makes me nervous, but I had a show to get to, there was no alternative, so I got in the car and I drove. And I got there without any real mishap, but I thought I should text the people that knew I was worried about the journey, just let them know I'd arrived safely. So I texted my fella, my agent, and my dad. My fella replied, "Great, I'll see you later." My agent replied, "Lovely, have a smashing show." And my dad replied, "Who's a clever girl?" And I just texted back, "Me!" But I took my mum, dad, and my sister out for a nice meal just before Christmas. And midway through the meal, my mum said, "When me and your dad go, we're going to go together." I said, "What are we talking about now?" "When me and your dad go, we're going to go together." I said, "Are you talking about a suicide pact?" And she went, "No, we're not going to call it that." So I sort of did the what the fuck face at my sister. She quite calmly just said, "As long as they leave me a letter explaining it, because I'm not going to go to prison for them." Just getting steadily worse. my dad, because my dad's like the voice of reason in our family. I looked at my dad and I said, what do you think about this? And he went, first I've heard of it. He did look genuinely gutted as well. He had massive plans for what he's going to do after my mum had died. My dad's a very friendly man. He likes to talk to people. He likes to talk to everybody. He likes to know people's names. He's the sort of person in a shop, he will read all of the name badges. So if we go in a shop, he gets his change off the lady on the till. He goes, thanks very much. Jean. We're just glad that he stopped staring at an old lady's tit. We got a train last year from London up to Newcastle. Me, my sister, my mum and dad managed to get a table on the train. Awesome work. And we got really cheap first-class tickets because we booked them when I was about 9. And a lady got on the train and sat across from us on her own. And my dad was instantly sort of itching to talk to her. Strange yet must chat. And they did have a very minor conversation. My dad said something like, it's not that cold down here, is it? And the lady said, no, it's much warmer than it is up north. That was it. That was the extent of the conversation. Yet my dad still saw fit in 10 minutes' time when the woman removed her cardigan to go, da-da-da, da-da-da-da. My dad has a mobile phone. He's getting on, he's nearly 70, he's got a mobile phone, and it's mostly for incoming, so me and my sister can text him to see we're all right, or we can ring him if we need him. He's not really bothered about texting out. He finds it a lot of faff. He doesn't really have the patience anymore. So to make his life easier, and fuck knows who taught him how to do this, he set himself a template text, which he sends out regardless of the situation. And the template text says, champion, love dad. Regardless of whether I've won an award or been shitting myself all night, champion, love dad. I've been trying to think of a question that I could ask him where that would be a really good answer. And the only one I can come up with is, Dad, what was the name of the Wonder Horse on the telly in the 80s? But it was about this time last year that I was worried about my family. My mum and dad are both retired and both disabled. And I was worried about them sort of thinking before they put the heating on. You know, it was a very cold winter. Sort of thinking, can we afford it before they put the heating on? And I said, you know what, you've looked after me all these years, including the 2. I moved back in after I got divorced. Never have kids, because I never properly fucking leave. I said, maybe I could start giving you a bit of a hand. Maybe I could start paying your heating bill. Not happy, not happy. Very proud people, my parents. There's a lot of sort of wrestling went on. I mean, verbal. I wanted to have my dad on the floor, popping out hips willy-nilly. And they eventually agreed. They still weren't happy about it, but they agreed it's the most sensible option, started to pay for the heating bill. A month later, I went to visit them. My dad opened the front door, and he was just wearing vest and pants. And I went, Dad, it's 3 in the afternoon. Why haven't you got any clothes on? He went, it's boiling in there. And I heard my sister shout from the kitchen, we've never even been on holiday anywhere this hot. So I bought a blusher. And you know how makeup, all the colours have names these days, don't they? My blusher is called Orgasm. I was like, why does it have to be called Orgasm? Why can't it just be fucking peach? I mean, peach. It would be more fun if makeup was a little swearier, though, wouldn't it? I like your nail varnish, thanks very much. It's called shittin' red. But my sister was determined to embarrass me in front of our parents, and she went, tell Dad what your blusher's called. No. Tell Dad what your blusher's called. No. I said, look, we're 35 and 41. Are you really going to reduce us to children? She went, tell Dad what your blusher's called. I said, right, shut up, I'll tell him. So I said, Dad, he's going to limber up for this kind of conversation. I said, Dad, he went, uh-huh. I went, me blusher? My blusher's called Orgasm. And he thought he'd do a funny joke. And he said, when you put it on, does it make your face do this? And I went, whoa! Whatever you're about to do, you must never do when I am there.
you an eager beaver or a late bloomer? If you're a late bloomer like me, then my new show is just for you. Late Bloomer is available now to stream and download from my website, sarahmillican.co.uk.